Devil May Cry has always been a gaming franchise that has stuck with me since I was a tiny bean for the most part. I remember when my two older brothers booted up the PS2 for the first time since we had Devil May Cry 1. Ever since I saw Mundus' final form, I was never. To this day, I'm still a hardcore Devil Hunter at heart, which leads us to this video. The year was 2018, 10 years after Devil May Cry 4 was released, and many were initially divided by the fourth installment, especially with the unsatisfactory cliffhanger that I left on at the end of the game. However, soon many came to accept it and even praised it more with the release of Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, improving the graphics, combat, and even adding familiar characters such as Virgil, Lady, and Trish. Which, by the way, Lady will always be my favorite DMC girl, you can't change my mind. But enough about that little side tangent that I just went on. Today we're here to talk about a game that's taken the community by storm. It has by far made me appreciate the series even more to this day. We are here to talk about the explosive, the stylistic, the enthralling, the exciting, and beautiful, well, you know what I was going to say.
We've known each other a long time.
Hold the line! Hold the line! Nothing gets through!
You never had this much trouble. You gonna make it through this?
They're demons! I've seen them with my own eyes! Red Grave is completely taken over!
Let us pray for mercy. This is a trial from the heavens above.
After years of fans speculating, leaks hitting the internet, including a confirmation from Virgil himself, voiced by Dan Southworth.
Because now they're going to bring us back. You can say that, right?
No.
Oh. Well.
Many were over the DMC reboot anyway.
You promise not to tell on others, so
However, our prayers were answered with this E3 announcement trailer that left everybody in shock. But the only question left with this beautiful game is that will it redeem the franchise, or will this be a final nail in the coffin? After the polarizing controversy of the DMC reboot, director Hideaki Itsuno was unhappy with not the game itself, but the direction which it was going, to the point of resignation, according to producer Matt Walker and voice actor Ruben Langdon. Itsuno personally liked the game and even wanted to create a sequel, but that unfortunately didn't happen due to the many backlashes from the community at the time. Which, sidebar, I personally would have liked to see a sequel contrary to popular belief. However, Itsuno was able to voice his wish list to the chairman of Capcom, Kensho Tsuchimoto, of what he wanted to do next, whether it was Devil May Cry 5 or Dragon's Dogma 2. Tsuchimoto, in a nutshell, just replied that creators should be able to make what they want, so do whatever you want. Seeing the action game market at the time, Itsuno came to the conclusion that action games that are fun have essentially been the same when it comes to challenges, which led to his decision to make Devil May Cry 5. Itsuno's team consisted of senior producer Michiteru Okabe, producer Matthew Walker, lead animation artist Yushichiro Hideki, lead facial artist Naoki Tenemoto, and character artist Tomo E. The mission was to create a game that would appease veterans of the series while attracting newcomers. They would also go back and look at old titles to figure out what worked in order to include them, as well as create something new and innovate the series to new heights in which many have never seen before. Furthermore, they will also try to clean up and tie the stories of previous titles with the help of the series writers Bingo Motohashi, who wrote a prequel novel to the game. Their development cycle took 4 years, and Itsuno was confident to state that he was astounded about the work they have put in that would exceed many's expectations. To this point, I would happily agree, and I'm going to be reinforcing that message in the 3 segments of this video, so without further delay,
Jackpot.
Come on, motherfuckers, come on! Come on, motherfuckers, come on! Release the brainstorm to make the motherfucking brain go.
for this section of the video, we're going to be starting with the presentation of this game. And we're starting off with the visual and graphics. It's fucking beautiful, by far the best in the series. This is mostly thanks to the groundbreaking RE engine, which was originally created by the developers of Capcom to use photorealistic rendering and realistic shading. This engine was used in games like Resident Evil 7, the 2 remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3, Monster Hunter Rise, and so on. In addition, the clothing for the characters were created from scratch, which was then skinned for character models by the Serbian company 3 Lateral, which also developed the facial expressions for the most part. It's nice, guys. I don't need to tell you guys how beautiful this thing is. Like, it's freaking okay. They are also responsible for these amazing animations in the game that have also been used in previous titles, which create amazing cutscenes like this, basically. The nostalgia! I also appreciate the London-inspired aesthetic when it comes to Red Grape City, which is apparent in missions like 1 and 2. However, there are missions where the atmosphere starts to dwindle down a bit. I'm looking at you, Mission 8. While we're on the subject, the level design of this game is very unique, as there's still that familiar build-up that was present in the past titles, but up to another level that keeps players like myself engaged, whether it's the enemy types, boss fights, or the overall level progression. However, the loading screens for these levels can break the tenacity, as there are times when I want to restart the whole level but have to sit through many loading screens, which breaks the immersion in general, and it's annoying. I understand that the levels have to render, but at least try to dumb down the loading screens at least.
Get out the game!
Anyways, my top 3 missions are 2, 3, and 11, as the build-up for these 3 levels keeps you on your toes for the most part. As you progress through these levels, you start to see the environment change to new settings, whether it be from an outdoor mall to the crumbling bits of a church, flying across many rooftops to finding that gigantic library, or starting in a cemetery, which then leads to you finding in the middle of the street. All the while, the game introduces new enemy types in these levels that will show up later on while progressing through the story. Hell, some of these enemies hit us in boss fights, as some carry attacks or features that are similar to the specific boss, like Proto Angelo to Cavalier Angelo, or the Hellbat, Baphomet, or Lusacia that mirror King Cerberus' attacks. By the way, if you're wondering which enemy I hate the most, it's the Hell Antineros. All I gotta say,
Their existence is useless to me. I say useless.
but enough about that. We can now move on to the music of this game, which doesn't disappoint and highlights the game overall. It also sets the tone of the characters and world of Devil May Cry 5, with Nero's Devil Trigger theme especially bringing out the rebellious, exhilarating, and reborn nature of Nero. Then there's Dante's Subhuman, which shows the more serious, boastful, and complex evolution of Dante.
How's that for road rash?
Next is V's Crimson Cloud theme, which surrounds V's enigmatic nature along with its insidious methods of killing. Nico's theme is more chill and carefree, which glorifies her whole persona in a nutshell. Finally, there is Virgil's Bury the Light theme, which is bone-chilling, menacing, and somber in a way that tells the whole arc of Virgil, which I will disclose in a separate video, so stay tuned. The voltaic Black Knight track played during the Cavalier Angelo fight shows the electrifying rumbling that is occurring between a legend and a nostalgic yet brooding foe, if you know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, but I can read all your moves. Helps that I know who you use.
Sin is the tripolar nature of King Cerberus' track that is just full of energy, like you're at an electronic nightclub and you've just been like dancing for hours, basically.
This fight's a real shocker. Rolling up okay there, pup? I've seen these moves before. You haven't shot out any puppies, have you?
Last but not least, there's the resolve that is Mission 20's music, which starts slowly with uncertainty, but then picks up with emotion, and leads to an astonishing remix of Devil Trigger.
Huh? Hey yo, what the fuck? You just fucked up real bad.
This is what essentially grabs new and veteran players, as it adds variety that can be appeased from both standpoints, while elevating it to a frontier that is new but familiar, which is why so many gravitated towards it since its release. And now we're about to get into what makes this game really, really good in many people's eyes. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this DMC5 analysis, which is the gameplay portion. This is where DMC5 shines the most, as we have a redefined yet familiar way of playing, split into three characters: Nero, V, and Dante himself. Starting off with Nero, his moveset is pretty much the same from DMC4, but with a few additions and adjustments. First is his iconic blue rose that has an added color up charge shot that is good for more damage and a little crowd control. It helps even more when you unlock Nero's DT at the end of the game, as once you charge up and release the blue rose, it summons up to 6 extra shurikens to attack enemies. I personally would recommend changing the button input to a shoulder button like L1 to a more effective style, but at the end of the day it's up to you to explore. Then there's Nero's beloved Red Queen from the previous title, which again is tweaked and has features that helps improve his gameplay. The Exceed mechanic on the Red Queen has enhanced timing-wise, where it's more forgiving when it comes to perfectly timing the charge up depending on what button you assign for the Exceed. For me, I put it as the square button. It helps many players like myself to keep trying and master the mechanic as a whole. The last feature that has caused a stir within this game is the infamous Devil Breakers, as you can see right here. This design, crafted by Itsuno, gave a new playstyle to the iconic Rebel, as these 8 new robot arms with 4 additional from the special edition offer variety. You have your basic wire snatch that pulls enemies to you, then you have Overture that is a basic blasting force for enemy crowds and explosives, Cerberus that is used for mobility and pushback but can also be used for lasers, aerial and ground level. Then Punchline shoots a rocket arm for more combos and can be used as a rocket board, which is gnarly. Helter Skelter pierces enemy defenses and can does more when charged up. Tomboy is a quick way to use Succeed and even use fire shots, which is cool. Buster acts like the Devil Rigger with more power. Rawhide can be used for defense and has the AoE, which is area of effect. And Ragtime freezes time, making enemies more vulnerable and allowing a better chance of attack. Hell, there's even a Mega Buster from Mega Man, which is cool with the animation and everything, which was a smart move from Capcom in my opinion. Of course, this was controversial since the Devil Riggers were easy to break and couldn't be switched in game. Even the developers were split about it, but came to the consensus of what they are now, as they add a risk-reward factor, which is a theme in this game, that works well once you get used to it. You can even find more while progressing through levels, encouraging you to use them up, as well as use unique combos with them in terms of the break gauges. It makes Nero's playstyle stand out from the others and requires you to strategize before or during the battle. At the end of the game, you'll be able to regain Nero's Devil Rigger, which I'll talk about later. Next on the list is the Emo Lord himself, V. His style is very hands-off as he utilizes three of his companions, Shadow, Griffin, and Nightmare. If you recognize those names, they are past enemies from the previous DMC1 title, but are now past to be used as we want them to be used. Shadow's function is mostly up close and personal as he uses spikes, blades, mace, whatever you think he has, he's got it. Griffin uses more aerial attacks, which include lasers, and helps you reach areas out of reach. Then there's Nightmare, who is basically your trump card as he uses V's Devil Trigger meter. It is mostly for crowd control, damage, and bait since enemies direct their attention to him once he spawns. Furthermore, you can perform the promotion move where you climb on Nightmare's back and manually control him without taking damage for the duration of him being active, which is kinda cheap, but hey, I ain't mad at it. He also helps open secret passages in certain V levels once you activate him around certain areas. What makes V's gameplay special is that once an enemy is damaged to a certain point, V has to do the killing blow, which can be a risk at times, since the killing blow can leave V vulnerable to attacks. There's also the stalemate mechanic where Griffin and Shadow can be downed for periods of time. If they take too much damage, then you, the player, have to wait until they reawaken, or can reawaken them yourself if you stand by them for a certain amount of time. Now, I know a lot of people doesn't particularly like V's playstyles, since it's not hard to use him. It can get boring after a while. But I'm one of the people who can kind of appreciate his style, since it offers something we haven't seen in Devil May Cry. You start to comprehend his dynamic once you start to progress through the story, and higher difficulties with more tough enemies. If you still think he's useless and are willing to create a Reddit page over it, then
you just need to go outside and cut some grass.
Side note, I just love the little tweaks of how the taunts work now, as not only are the animations great, but you can actually move mid-taunt to maneuver around, whereas the previous game didn't do that. It could also be incorporated with characters like Nero, where you can exceed the Red Queen with the air taunt, which can be convenient. Now we have the legendary Devil Hunters gameplay, which is the most complex out of the three, as it keeps the same mechanics from DMC 3 and 4, but adds new elements and weapons to his arsenal. I'm not gonna lie, his playstyle can be overwhelming at times, even for me, and I've gotten used to it for the most part. However, it doesn't compare to people like Don Gary 990, Alto, and BG, who spend months perfecting these different movesets. I mean, just look at them. We of course have the iconic weapons and moves of Rebellion, Devil Sword Sparta, Ebony and Ivory, and Coyote A. But if you know DMC, then you know Dante gets a new weapon after each boss fighter level. The first new addition to the slot is Balrog, which are the fiery gloves and boots that allow Dante to throw punch and kick combos that combine styles of capoeira, boxing, and some Street Fighter delight. Then there is the sweet motor ride that is the Cavalier, which functions as a motorcycle but has its own attack moveset when it's separated into two deadly saws. Even though it's a bit slow, it compensates for its strength that increases with timing on your button presses. It also has super armor that lets you to take damage without reducing your style meter. King Cerberus, a 2.0 version of the Cerberus nunchucks from DMC3, is a new swift, hard-hitting ground weapon that adds 3 elements of fire, ice, and lightning reminiscent of King Cerberus himself. The last melee weapon in Dante's arsenal is his Devil Sword, called Devil Sword Dante, which combines the Rebellion and Devil Sword Sparta. It enhances Dante's sword moveset while adding additional demon swords that can be used with Swordmaster and Dante's first Devil Trigger form, as it automatically appears and enables certain functions of Royal Guard, Swordmaster, Trickster, and Gunslinger. Then we have Lady Singer's weapon, the Kalina Ann, which is not ours to use after beating the game, and can be upgraded to the double Kalina Anns after discovering it in Mission 11. It fires multiple rockets and even acts as a laser beam when both Kalina Anns are attached, but take longer to disassemble, leaving yourself open for a few seconds. Last but not least, we have the most unique and cheesiest weapon out of the bunch, which is Dr. Faust. Eternal made red orbs annoying in the past and utilized them as weapons that deal huge damage, but again offers a risk-reward mechanic as once you get hit with it equipped, you start to lose red orbs, once again making you strategize your approach. As stated before, DMC5 reintroduces Dante's four signature styles: Trickster, Gunslinger, Swordmaster, and Royal Guard. To put it simply for the sake of time, Trickster allows you to dash and teleport, Swordmaster gives you an extra set of moves with each close range weapon, and Gunslinger does the same for the long range weapons. Royal Guard allows you to block and parry. However, Royal Guard is a little different than in previous titles, as it doesn't affect your health, but your DT. There's also the inclusion of Royal Revenge, which gives you a damage boost if you Royal Release when the enemy is about to attack. Keep in mind that you can store your Royal Guard energy with its own meter and properly reciprocate some damage to enemies and bosses. Finally, we have Dante's new Devil Trigger form, which is the Sin Devil Trigger. The Sin Devil Trigger is a new powerful form that acts as a trump card since your power is boosted to tremendous heights with certain moves like Judgment and Doomsday. However, it sacrifices health regen as you can't heal, but you do have super armor that doesn't stagger or stop your attacks. To recharge your SDT, you need to transfer your original DT to the SDT meter by holding the DT button. Now knowing all the styles of these three characters, it can seem overwhelming, which is why the Void is introduced. The Void acts as a training ring for you to practice each character's moveset as well as practice against certain enemy types so you can figure out how to maneuver around them on different levels. You can also test your skills with the secret missions as each one tests a certain aspect of what you've learned so far. Sadly, you can't add bosses to the Void, which would have been a dope idea to include. Speaking of ideas to expand on, there's the whole online aspect of seeing other players in specific levels and rating them how well they did. Personally, I would love to see an online co-op game mode within Devil May Cry, as it could add a competitive, fun aspect to see who can style the most and will make many players become better. Now, I understand that the main focus is the single-player experience, but wouldn't it be cool if they took the aspect of Destiny's raid system and implemented it in the Devil May Cry setting, where each player plays as one of the DMC crew and get to do cool encounters fighting enemies and different bosses while getting sweet loot? I mean, it's just a thought. Before we move on to the last link of this dissection, we have to talk about the mission ranking system of the game, which I'm mixed on. On one hand, I'm glad they reduced it to only focus on style points in the three-part system of time clear, style points, and red orbs. On the other, I don't like the average of style points being captured on certain encounters, as there's some levels that don't have enough enemies to get a high style average. In addition, missions like 10, 12, and 18 start to punish your style average if you get hit once by an enemy, making it a tedious hassle to get an S rank, especially if you're a player like me who tries to platinum the entire game. I'm for certain looking at mission 10, as there should be no way we should be punished this hard when you start to play as Dante for the first time. It's one of the most encounters. It's just like, why? There's also the addition of multipliers, where if you complete the mission with no continues, including restarting to a checkpoint, you get a times 1.2 multiplier, and if you don't get damage throughout the level, you get a times 2 multiplier. The other coin to the multipliers is the penalties that hurt your mission rank with the triple restart and super character penalties. Overall, it's nice to see the gameplay of Devil May Cry 5 evolve and become fully realized for the player's enjoyment. Sure, there may be some negatives to the gameplay aspect, but it's good to appreciate what we have and improve upon it in the next entry. I mean, if there's gonna be a next entry, which I hope there is. One can dream!
Say I have no bitches, but where are yours?
Now we have reached the story and character portion of this video, as it's the most anticipated aspect when it comes to this franchise, seeing how many were wondering what would happen next. After the events of DMC4, the new Devil Hunter Nero starts to build a mobile branch of Devil May Cry, with his new partner and gunsmith, Nico Goldstein, daughter of Agnes. Including a character like Nico into the mix of demons and demon hunters was a good idea along with many other DMC fans, as she is the only human among the group and has to put up a tough front in order to fit in. Plus her weird, snarky, and nonchalant personality adds some nice context to who she is as a character in contrast to her father, who she at times disregards.
Woo-wee! I'm gonna make something amazing out of this.
Did you just sniff that? Do you have any idea where that's been?
Up your butt?
She also shows some human characteristics like cheesing when she meets the legendary Devil Hunter himself.
The infamous Dante. Nicoletta Goldstein. Sound familiar? I got my looks from my daddy. That's about all I got from him. But based on his research, I managed to cobble this. Consider it a gift in honor of us finally meeting. Meeting.
She's definitely number 2 on my roster of favorite DMC girls.
Hey, honey. Need assistance?
When she and Nero are about finished working on their DMC van, Nero sees a hooded man enter the garage and rips off the Devil Breaker off of Nero, leaving him to die bleeding with the Yamato in the hooded man's hands. We all know it's Virgil, so there's really no surprise. I mean, it's been leaked before. Later on, Virgil, on the verge of death, while still seeking power, goes to his childhood home and impales himself with the Yamato to separate his demon and human side. His demon side will be known as Demon King Urizen, and his human side will be known as V. The V in Virgil. Get it? V afterwards hires Dante and his friends to help slay Urizen as he speaks of Virgil coming back, grabbing Dante's attention, making him want to take the job even more since he hadn't heard his name in a while. Quick thing, I just love how Patty is just a voice cameo within this scene, signifying how much many didn't like her in the anime adaptation, even though she's 18 now, but people are like, nah fam, I'm good.
Shut the fuck up.
Afterward, Dante along with Lady and Trish scale up the Clyfoff to Urizen, only to be beaten, leading V to recruit Nero as insurance. Nero with no arm confronts the demon that took his arm, and also loses to him, forcing him and V to retreat in order to form a new plan. Dante tries once again to overpower Urizen, but ends up with a broken rebellion and being sent flying with the Devil Sword Sparta. Trish and Lady end up being hosts to the demons named Artemis and Cavalier Angelo, with some of their attacks mirroring their hosts. A month passes and Nero along with Nico and V set out to confront Urizen again since Nero has equipped a newfound power that is the Devil Breakers. However, they need to clear some Clyfoff roots that plague Redgrave City. Along the way, V overhears the demon named Malthus conversing with Cavalier Angelo about destroying the Devil Sword Sparta, which prompts V to retrieve it and gives to Nero if the chance Dante is dead. Nero on this separate route is able to slay Artemis while saving Lady, which she then wakes up with no sure fact that Dante is alive. After that, Nero and V work together to go to the Clyfoff tree and end up near V's childhood home. Wink, wink. Then they go separate ways again, with Nero going out to face the Demon King and once again losing. V then pursues after the Devil Sword Sparta and ends up fighting Dante in a comatose state, looking back to his past of the final moments with his mother. If V, still carrying some of his hatred, tries to end Dante, but he awakes and is briefed on the situation at hand. Without hesitation, Dante pushes on to finish the job and saves Trish in the process, who is looked after by V. V then discloses to Trish the truth of his and Urizen's existence, as well as him slowly dissipating. As Dante is closing in on the Demon King, he stops by his childhood home and realizes that if the Yamato can separate, what happens if it can combine, making him impale himself once again to achieve the Sin Devil triple form. I guess all those stabbings paid off. He then flies off to help Nero and makes Urizen retreat. In the process, everybody meets up at the lower level of the Clyfoff, with Nico revealing that she is the granddaughter of the famous gunsmith Nell Goldstein. Nero also wants to tag along as he's not dead weight and wants to get his revenge. V tags along to see all of this truth, so the three go their own separate ways, with V being trapped in a deadly illusion that leads him to confront Malthus, Nero defeating Malthus and helping V spread state to Urizen while airing his grievances, and Dante defeating the gatekeeper that is King Cerberus, which is the last of its kind. Finally confronting Urizen in an illusionary area of their childhood home, he begs his brother to reconsider his actions, but ignores Dante and eats his divine fruit that grants him immeasurable power. However, with Dante's new arsenal and power, he is able to beat his brother once again. Soon, V and Nero are able to catch up, and V wants to finish his demon side himself, but actually rejoins his demon side to become Virgil. Dante, with no hesitation, tries to attack Virgil, but Virgil tells Dante to heal his wounds so they will officially settle the matter once and for all. As Virgil is leaving, he thanks Nero for realizing his human side. Nero, still confused, wants to know what is going on, which Dante drops that Virgil is his father, and is known since DMC4 based on the Yamato's reaction to him. In the end, he doesn't want Nero to feel the burden of killing his own father, so he goes on to end this long-lasting battle. On the way, Dante encounters V's three companions since they are free to have their own will and want to use it to kill Dante. After dealing with the iconic three, Dante finally confronts his brother and engages in the best boss fight in the series, no contest. Just when the battle is about to hit its climax, a strange demon interrupts them. We then flash back to a few minutes ago where Nero is just about to confront his father and uncle's fight, but quickly calls his girl Kyrie to make sure that he's doing the right thing. Kyrie gives him reassurance and inspires him to end this long vicious cycle as he doesn't want anybody else close to him to die like how it was with Kratos. His resolve becomes complete with a new arm, and his brand new Devil Trigger form stops the fight between Virgil and Dante. Nero then battles his dad to stop this long-age fight as a bet, which he then wins. Virgil concedes only due to the fact that the underworld is starting to spread to the human world and needs to close the portal. The two brothers then set out, leaving Nero in charge of the human world with his father's book as a keepsake and with the possibility of not seeing them ever again. Nero then goes back home to see his sweet Kyrie, but has to clear the last bunch of demons in his way. Meanwhile, Morrison runs the DMC operation while giving Lady and Trish a new job. And I know I haven't talked about Morrison at all or his new look, but I really don't care as he serves his purpose in spilling expository for the most part. Meanwhile, in the underworld, the two brothers are still duking it out as they are comfortable with the reality that the rivalry may never end, thus concluding the story of Devil May Cry 5. Hell yeah. First off, I just like how this game is a low-key a character study of Virgil, as throughout the game you get to see how Virgil reflects on his human side as V, and how he still believes that he needs power to never be considered weak or vulnerable ever again, which births Urizen. As V, he retains his cool, collected persona, along with his knowledge. He also cites poetry from his childhood book that is basically William Blake quotes. It's even presented at the beginning of the game, setting a theme throughout. He also still carries the trauma of being Nilo Angelo, as seen in Mission 7 when he confronts the Scudo and Proto-Angelos for the first time. Him also seeing his demon side makes him quiver since he sees what his hunger of power has turned him into to the point of asking his own brother for help. However, as Urizen, he doesn't care what happens to others as he is the one calling the shots with his terrifying power. He is even able to best Dante first try, but soon questions his limit when Dante outbests him again with his same Devil Trigger, 2 times at that. At the end, both sides realize that they need each other in perfect balance in order to become a perfect whole, which leads to Virgil being reborn more powerful than ever. I also like that Virgil ponders what would happen if the roles were reversed between him and his brother. It even signifies his importance with the main title since the developers used the Roman numeral 5 which looks like a V in order to share the underlying message of Virgil's revelation within the story. Now with Dante, we see that he's much older now and doesn't really care about taking jobs anymore, to the point of having no water, electricity, or plumbing. It was kind of depicted in the anime adaptation, but seeing it depicted in the main game series speaks a lot, as from before he was the fun, lucky-go devil hunter that always knew how to have a good time and find the humor in some serious situations. Now he just wants to get by and just relax for the most part. The only time he shows real interest in the job is when he hears that his brother is back and doing no good. For most of the game, he seems more direct with the task at hand, with him joking rarely, giving us the impression that he's more serious about taking down his brother. It's even present with him acquiring his Sin Devil Trigger form, which is still the coolest moment ever, and I like its combo of Dante's martial form in DMC2 and an unused form concept in DMC4. Even when he sees Virgil in his true form, he quickly attacks with no hesitation or emotion for the fact that his brother is back in pure form. This shows that Dante is over the charade of Virgil turning a new leaf, as Dante tried to reason with him as Urizen, but Virgil is still willing to throw away his humanity for power. It then leads to both of them solving their issues again through the art of battle, as that's all they've known since kids, and don't know any other ways of solving them for the most part. This is where our underdog that is Nero comes in, as he's the grade that is between Virgil and Dante's black and white. The whole point of Nero's development was to awaken, or if you want to be cheesy with it, spread his wings, which is depicted in the logo of the game. We've seen Dante and Virgil fight for themselves with barely any support after their mother and father's death. However, with Nero, he's grown around a community who cares for him and knows what it's like to be loved. This is why, in this game, he hangs around Nico as his partner since they have that brother and sister dynamic that is genuine to see.
I'm joking. Hey, loosen up your jockstrap. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
He is even willing to extend a hand to somebody like V. Since the beginning of the game, Nero has struggled and was at his lowest point in the prologue, but by the last mission we see him at his strongest. Just like his father, he too wanted power, but wanted to use it for his family that he has developed. I also like the parallels that are shown between him and his father, with certain physical features, characteristics, and even attacks. most notably the showdown move that mirrors Nero having a demon katana and uses precise strikes like his old man. Nero, however, still has his own tactics and flair of how to handle situations that differ him from his uncle that he admires and his pops that he just found out about. Nero is a character that has become fully realized, which makes him slowly become one of my favorite characters. While on the subject, one gripe that I have is how underutilized Trish and Lydia are in this story. I mean, they barely fight anything in this game and are not even additional characters in the special edition. The only time they are even appealing is either for eye candy or the one time they speak to Nero about the repercussions of killing Virgil, throwing it back to DMC3 where both Dante and Lady experience lingering pain with losing their only pieces of family left. Hopefully that gets fixed soon with a DMC5 update or a future title, who knows.
So, Devil's Cry, huh? Let's hear what that sounds like!
I've always been a fan of this franchise, even with its shortcomings, and it's nice to see a game that honors the entire series, even the DMC reboot, while adding a new style that is gravitating to many hardcore and new players. This game by far stands out with its new graphics, models, cutscenes, gameplay, and character development, being in the number 2 spot of the entire franchise, right under DMC3 for me. It basically sets the tone for action games that they can still be the center of attention while closing out in a way that's filled with spirit and essentially defining an era. It's also touching to see the passing of the torch when it comes to Nero, as he's the main protagonist now. Hopefully in the future we get to dive more into his story and see how he evolves later, now that the brother's story is complete. Furthermore, it's nice to see the whole gang just chilling in the DMC van with Nero even having an awkward sit down with Virgil, as well as Dante and Virgil just talking with each other while Dante reads his magazine. Another thing is, I would love to see Lady and Nico do missions together since both are into guns and weapons, and they're my top 2 girls. With all that being said, it's safe to say that devils never truly die, and it's thanks to the people of Capcom, most notably the man himself, Hideaki Itsuno. Hey, what's going on, my brothers and sisters? It's your favorite speedster here, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little analysis. It took me literally weeks to get this done, bro, and I'm literally so glad that I'm over this video. Don't get me wrong, it was fun to make it a process, trust me, but it just took a long time to do, and I had to rework some stuff, you know. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that, bro. It was quite an experience to do. I'm probably gonna do more of these on some games that I want to like review. Just now that I got this video out the way and know how to like work it now, know what the steps to do it now, I can basically get it out more faster than how I was trying to do with this one. And don't get me wrong, there will be videos where it's going to take a little bit more longer to do reviews like this, since some games take a long time to complete and stuff and get footage, but it's the price I'm willing to pay for you guys, you know what I'm saying? So let me know what you guys think of this video here. I would love the feedback. Tell me what, if you guys liked it, what I need to improve on, etc, etc. But other than that, man, it's just been a fun time making this, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this, man. It's been a treat. This has literally been on my mind for literally weeks, a month. I don't know how long it's been, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll try to get more content out for you guys since this took a lot of my time. I'm still going to keep the side play series going and the funny moment stuff going, a lot of it going while doing this at the same time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Got the juice.